Okay, a couple items under Board of Directors report. We have the meeting minutes from the last time we were together, which was June 8th. Any updates or corrections that need to be made to those meeting minutes from June 8th? Okay, we have board policies. We have a second reading for board policy B1. That's a policy 907, and that focuses specifically on visitors. What we did in that policy, and this is a second reading, but just as a recap since it's been a little bit, that is a policy that specifically was designed to change the language if someone comes into the school district and they go now through a security flagging system. If they would get flagged, what do we do? And so it adjusted the policy language to address those concerns. While I have a moment here, I just wanted to call out, we also are in the process of evaluating our policies. Our policies with PSBA changed platforms from one platform to a new platform through PSBA. We did a deep dive on that, and we did find several policies that we had issues with. 10 policies were missing out of our policies that were no longer there. We had a couple policies that were an existing policy and were completely layered over with a brand new policy that was not one of our policies. We have 4 mismatched title ones, not a big deal. But then the bigger concern is there was 14 policies that were added that the board never approved that are live, which obviously makes some concern. So we've raised those concerns to PSBA. They're working on fixing those, and we've been able to get a better handle on the actual tool. I also shared that with our colleagues within Berks County last week, just so that it's on everyone's radar, whoever's using that system, that they need to do a deep dive into the policies that are there. So just wanted to make note of that. That's why you don't see any new policies tonight. We want to spend a little bit more time, get comfortable with it, understand all the challenges that are there right now, get those rectified. So when we get to September, we can start our cyclic process. I guess good news, we are now starting our 6-year cyclic process all over again. We've gotten through all of them. So we're coming back around and starting them all over again. So this is the first year of starting that process all over again. Item C is to approve a memorandum of understanding with the Pennsylvania State Police. This is a MOU that has to be established every year or every other year. This was a year to be up, and so you can see it's a 2-year agreement, and there's a separate MOU for all 3 schools. That MOU essentially outlines issues that happen within the school that are connected to the Pennsylvania State Police, things we must report, things that are our decision if we want to report to this Pennsylvania State Police or not. But it actually provides a good guide for administration on how to handle situations and when to call police and when not to call police. That's the MOU.
Good. Committee reports.
Mr. Ponder, before we move on, just a quick question. So PSBA has 14 policies that we don't have.
Correct.
Anything in there that was interesting or worth noting that maybe we should be thinking about?
No, there were policies that really don't pertain to us.
Or any other public school district, or just unique to us?
Just unique to us. So let me just see here if I can find one. And like we have a general employment of staff members. There was an employment of district staff, another one employment of substitutes, another one employment of summer school staff, another employment of teachers, interns, those types of things.
So we have a broad policy that covers all of those things you just rattled off.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So nothing worth noting or learning from.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. BCIU, Mrs. Hume.
Good evening, everybody. BCIU board last met on June 18th. There is no board meeting in July typically, so there wasn't this year. The June 18th meeting, the BCIU board officers were re-elected. Karen McEwen from Twin Valley, president. I continue to serve as vice president of the BCIU board, representing Brandywine, Linda Lash, Schuylkill Valley,
Now,
BCTC met June 24th at the West Campus. BCTC was awarded a $250,000 grant to job training, which will support equipment the electrical instructor will use. The JOC approved the new lunch and breakfast rates for the upcoming school year. Student breakfast is $2.30. Reduced breakfast is 30 cents. Student lunch is $3.75. Reduced lunch will be 40 cents. Monday, July 27th, we had an emergency virtual meeting because the East Campus roof had a bad leak, which cost $87,000 in damages. And the next BCTC meeting is August 29th at the East Campus. And I also want to make everyone aware, BCTC's first day is August 24th, as ours is August 25th. Thank you.
I saw them all on the roof Friday. They were all up there repairing.
thank you. B. That was.
We had a meeting on June 25th. We reviewed the financials and the tax collection trends. Collections for EIT are currently up 3.3% over prior year. The LST distributions were also up from the prior year. And we reviewed the delinquent EIT collections and how they are pursuing them. And we looked at updated payment plan guidelines. And our next meeting is the end of September.
Eisenhart.
We met last Wednesday just to review because we have a new strategic plan from 2026 to 2029, and Mr. Pottinger will go over the first year goals and priorities later on in the meeting.
The floor is still yours for negotiation.
Nothing to report there.
Awesome, thank you.
So as you can imagine, a lot of projects happened over the summer. So I'm just going to rattle through a couple of these. Most significantly, not a planned project, but we did have an issue with mold in the ceiling of the elementary school, more of like a mildewy, if you can think of like that powdery mildewy that kind of gets on stuff in the summer. That's what it was. It was up in the ceiling. So the ceiling in the elementary school is not like this ceiling. It's the old gym ceiling. It's really high. All the HVAC is kind of down low, so it created and what's the term? Air stratification. Air stratification is what their the going theme is right now. We are working with Honeywell, our HVAC company, to monitor that. They put sensors at the top and then come up with some long-term solutions to rectify that. It has been identified. It's been cleaned. All the work is done now. It's completely remediated. We are going to be doing air testing, hopefully Wednesday, maybe Thursday of this week, just to verify that everything is clean. And then we'll be able to move forward. We'll make sure that communication gets out to staff and families and things like that, just so that there's no rumors or anything started. But we want to make sure that air quality test is handled first. Elementary school playground. We have an item on the board agenda tonight to approve a quote with George Eli Associates. There were several quotes that were attained. This has been a long-term, 18-month type process to evaluate different companies. It's a timing issue. Of course, you can only do these playgrounds at a certain time, but that playground is used by pre-K. It's also used by some of our special education students. Right now, there's an underground oil tank that was removed, and so the area is really not conducive for playing, and so a lot of that space is blocked off. So this will upgrade that space. We did put the stadium bleachers in those at the high school this summer. That project is almost done. They're waiting for just a couple parts to finish that off, but that came out really, really nice. So if you have a chance to go to the high school, walk in the back, see the stadium, new bleacher seats, came out really nice. We also installed, as part of a longer range project, updating our water fountains throughout the school district. So this summer we were able to do 2 new water fountains that are more the bottle filler type water fountains. So we started doing that process. It kind of took a hiatus, and we're back at it again. We also have Zach Bartlett working on some masonry work. There's a transformer wall at the back of the high school near the loading dock athletic entrance that is deteriorated significantly, and so that work is being done to repoint and rebuild that block wall, as well as put a cap on so it doesn't deteriorate again in the future. The work was done here at the end of this building. Second floor, there's an overhang that cantilevers out from the building, and it's a emergency exit for 4th and 5th grade, the intermediate school hallway. That was significantly deteriorating from weather, and so that work was done this summer to completely update that space, and came out really nice. We did work at the elementary middle school playground, some asphalt work that was done there, some new fencing that was done there. There also is a quote to add some additional fencing there through grant funds that will completely segregate and keep our students in the intermediate school, middle school on the playground safe from going into the parking lot area. We also have on the agenda this evening a quote to do a mural project. The images are linked in your agenda. So if you have a chance and you want to take a look at what that proposal would look like, we're still refining it. We have partnered with gentleman Ben Hoffman. He has done local murals in the area. This was part of a discussion with the construction committee, somewhat of a direction from the construction committee to evaluate that space in the middle school. It's a great blank canvas as individuals drive through the town to be able to take advantage of that block wall and create some branding on that wall. And so that was really the direction we're headed with that. So the quote that came in was for $5,400. If we would go through with that this evening and it would be approved, the idea would be it would be done as a community project. And so he would sketch it out and then invite community members to come in, students, families, and do the painting under his direction. I got nervous because I said, I want to make sure it looks good. He said, as an artist, it's just paint. We'll just paint over and do it again. Like, okay. So the work that he's done, if you have ever drove into Kutztown and you see the mural that's on the Kutztown Fire Company, he did that one. If you've ever been to Kutztown High School and you go into their athletic stadium, on their wall on the right-hand side, the wall of their building has a big cougar mural there. So he's done this, has done a very nice job with it. There's not a lot of people that do murals around. So it's nice to be able to have someone that's a local artist to be able to help us with that. Oh, yep. No, that's the end of our, we also have high school mural on here. That's going to be a next summer project. But the idea on that one is to do the block wall into the entrance of the high school. There's a big wall there and create some imaging there. So that's the end of my report.
Any questions?
So I found a sticky note on my blue folder today. And the sticky note said, before this meeting, set up a time to go view so we'll make sure that happens. For logistics purposes, I think we'll have the meeting here because otherwise we have to re-advertise for a change of location. So if it's okay with everyone, we'll set up time ahead of time to go over and we'll do a tour of the wood shop and the greenhouse. And we can walk around to the back of the stadium and then come over for the meeting if that works. Okay. Yeah, we'll do that. I found that sticky note today. I said to Andrew, so he said we'll do that in September. Sorry about that.
Follow-up question on the mural. You said the high school one is planned for next summer.
Yes.
Is it coming off tonight's agenda, or are we going to board approve it and earmark those dollars now for implementation next summer?
That was the idea. Board approved tonight. Get it locked in and have it ready for next. Whether we do that before July 1, that would be the goal. Is like start going. If it ends up going in the summer, that we can roll it into next summer. We end up using funds from next year. Then we'd have to earmark funds.
Where are these dollars budgeted?
So That's a Tracy question.
We have funds, in the maintenance budget that we can use, or we can potentially use, some of our marketing dollars, branding type things.
In the very beginning of the stadium, it was talked about to include this. And we kind of pushed some of this funding off, knowing that we were trying to get the stadium completed. So originally we talked about wraps around the bleachers and some murals and just some type of branding. Definitely.
Mr. Marshall,
Yes.
Mrs. Hand,
Yes.
Mr. Rightnour,
Yes.
Mr. Sheets is absent, Mr. Stubitz,
Yes.
Mrs. Walliser,
Yes.
Mrs. Eisenhart,
Yes.
Mr. Wagner,
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 absent.
All right, business and operations report. Can I get a motion in a second?
Motion right now.
Second Stubitz. Just do it the whole way.
Okay, first few items are the approval of the bills since our last meeting through the end of July for general fund, food service, and capital reserve. Item D is all of the financial reports for ending June 30 and July 31 for all of our various funds. Moving on to special ed and pupil services, we have an independent educational evaluation for a student. Under curriculum and technology, we have ratification of an agreement with IU 17 for our phone services and ratification of an agreement with Concord Technology for our eFax services. Then under facilities and maintenance, first item is for concrete safety barriers that we had to purchase for a grant that we have, and we have to expend the funds by December 31st. This is the PCCD grant, and it has 3 different tiers for the grant. And before we can move on to any purchases for anything in tier 2, we have to satisfy all the requirements from tier 1. And one of them is concrete barriers or fencing around different areas. And they want us to, in a sense, put the big target balls in front of all of our entrances so nobody can drive into them. So these concrete barriers are to protect the basketball courts out here at this building. We did obtain 3 quotes for this, and while this the shipping for this is significant, they're 750 pounds each. And we ordered 16 of them, so there was a significant weight to have them delivered. And again, they are satisfying the requirements of a grant, so that's where that funding is coming from. The next item is ratification of a proposal from Johnson Controls for our dust collector, and it's part of the woodshop expansion project. Next is a proposal from R&R Tree Service to have 2 trees removed at the elementary center. Next, we have the ratification of a proposal from Kuzan's True Value for a shed at the high school that will go into a spot where the oil tanks were also removed. And it'll give the more storage in that area. This had previously been approved last fall, is my understanding, and they had the lowest quote. We did add siding onto the shed, which had increased the quote, but it still came in lower than the other 2 quotes that we had originally obtained. Next is a proposal from Ace Electric for the new air compressor in the wood shop.
Tracy, I think, going back to the shed in a
Yeah.
second, I think there was a couple questions about permit and footers and things like that.
Right. To correct it, it was approved at the June meeting, this past June meeting.
Right.
When
Yes.
you approved the purchase of the shed for the 18,000. And so, at the time, there was no siding included in that because we had thought maybe our team was gonna be able to do it. Turned out we wanted to really match our existing storage shed. So the price to get Kuzans to do it was certainly the price to add that on. So that's where the extra cost comes in that we're asking to approve, to ratify. As far as the permit, we do have no plans to put electric in it at this time. So the shed will be freestanding. The area where the oil tank was, which is a stone and concrete base there now, the oil tank sat on. So it's kind of behind the brick wall where you go in by the athletics entrance. So it'll be tucked in there. That's kind of the plan for it. They talked to them today. They expect it to be delivered by the end of September. So they're expecting to do that.
Okay.
But
Then the next item is ratifying a proposal from Reinert's Plumbing for, to install 2 bottle filling stations, as Mr. Pottinger discussed earlier. Next item is the approval of a proposal from New Holland Chain Link Fence for a fence around the playground at this building. Again, this will be paid for with the same grant that we used to purchase the concrete barriers. The next item is to ratify the district administration soliciting for bids for the purchase of a newer use maintenance truck to replace the one that was totaled. This happened in the winter. This was a very long process with insurance where we received a quote to get it repaired because if you look at it, the damage does not look like it's that much. And it was $16,000.
$16,000.
Worth of-
Valued the truck at $27,000.
Right.
So it's over 50%.
So they ended up totaling the vehicle. So we are receiving $28,578.77, which is the cost less our $1,000 deductible. And we did have it out for bid. We did not receive any quotes or bids. So we are looking into other options and seeing what we can do to get this truck replaced. I know as we were going through the budget process, we had a new maintenance truck in that we ended up pulling out, and then this happened. So, so we're trying to see what we can do without having to purchase a brand new truck. But inventory is low, so that is the issue that we're having.
It's difficult to find used ones. So
Yes.
that's really in very bad shape. So now we're down a truck, plus we still have the very old truck that we were hoping to replace as part of the budget process. That's where we're currently.
And I will give Dean and Tracy credit. They tried everything they could with the insurance company to negotiate with them to save it and not total it. They tried adding plow packages in there and everything. When the determination was made, it was really pulling back. So
Can we request a private adjustment done, like a private? I just know in like, Laura's shaking her head. Yes, I know in like if your insurance company says we're only going to pay this much, and you tell them you're going to go get a private adjustment done, usually they cough up a little more money.
we did have a estimate done privately. I don't know if that's the same thing.
No, it's not the same thing. The private adjuster will just give it a sheet.
We did appeal the value, you're asking about the total value of the truck. We did appeal
We
that and then came back. We added some additional options and equipment that weren't in their initial valuation of it. So that did add a couple thousand, I believe, to it.
Yeah, but not as much as we were hoping.
We were
that it would
hoping it
have.
would
We
bring
did.
the value up enough that it wouldn't be
Yeah.
totaled.
We kept pushing back, like, what about this? What about this? And it just didn't add up to enough,
You
unfortunately.
thought about buying it with an R title. We
did.
did.
We did.
We did.
Yeah,
And they won't sell it. They will, but
They won't insure it.
our insurance company won't insure it.
They said if we keep it on this property right here and we don't drive it anywhere, then
keep it on one location.
Right. And take it on a public street, so that was.
insurance.
I know, right?
Yeah.
That's the point.
The truck more than we need insurance right now, so.
this already?
Yeah.
So the add-ons, the plow and all that other stuff, can we keep that when they total the vehicle itself, those extra parts?
Because we added the plow into the valuation of the truck, the plow needed to go with the truck when they picked it up when it was totaled. We had a very old plow in the full building that from an older truck before my time that fit that truck. So that plow is now on that truck that they took last week, and we do have a usable plow for a new truck. Should we get a truck without a plow? That answers your question. We did think about that.
Rewind and go delete.
I was
delete.
gonna say, turn to our legal counsel here.
It went with the truck went with the plow. There was a plow work that was on the truck that left.
Did we siphon all the gas?
Same air out of the
Put golf cart tires on it.
Okay, well, is there any money to get this Ford guy a new truck? I'll just open that up there.
It's really the issue of trying to find one. Because we went through the RFP, we couldn't find it, so now we're going through, if I understand correctly, the process is, since we tried to go through RFP, we didn't have any bids at all. We're trying CoStars, which there was nothing on CoStars either. So now we can individually call dealerships and try to negotiate the best deal and have as many bids as possible, quotes as possible, come back to you as a board and say, we couldn't do it through our RFP process, here's the lowest one we can find.
We can co-stars a new truck though, right? That's what, if I understand, right? That would be the process we could do if we were gonna go with the new vehicle. Correct. It was fine. We were trying to find a used one.
What are you looking for exactly?
A 24 or newer F-350.
Diesel or gas? I can't
Can
remember.
send you the
Gas.
whole.
Yeah.
It's in the attachment, if you click on
Is
the
it?
number 8, the notice to bidders, the requirements are in there.
Okay.
So it says the vehicle type and what they're looking for.
Let's see if
I do have one personally, but it's gray, so
Yeah, that
it's
won't
gray.
be a fleet,
It won't
you know what I
have to be white, yeah. Or else I would gladly donate if it was the right color, but sorry.
How much to paint it? So the $1,000 deductible, right, we get hit with that, but the rest of the claim, and I can't remember the details, so I apologize, but like, was it a fault issue? Like, did someone hit us? Can we get any money from another insurance company, in other words?
No, it was one of our team members that made a mistake and backed into a wall. So when you looked at while he was plowing in blizzard conditions over the winter, this happened, and unfortunately backed into a wall. And when you looked at it, we thought it was the tailgate and bumper, maybe the rear quarter panel. But when it got reviewed for insurance estimates, they believe he bent the frame. The frame, when the bumper pushed in into back, it also bent the frame, and that's what caused the high estimate, unfortunately, because it didn't look that bad.
No.
And quite honestly, we've been driving it since then. It was fine until last week, until they took it from us, but we almost got the summer out of it.
Okay.
We talked to the Walls insurance manager.
Then the next item, number 9, is ratifying the proposal from Kraus Construction to remediate the elementary school library. Next is to approve the proposal from George Eli Associates for the new pre-K playground. And again, for all of these, multiple quotes were received. Item 11 is to approve Benjamin Hoffman to complete the mural at this building, and then to also complete a mural at the high school athletic field, and that will be next summer. Item H is to ratify a contract with BCIU for Title I services. This is a requirement under Title I for last school year after we received our funding adjustment. Next is to ratify a service agreement with Lesher Appliances for food service kitchens, walk-in coolers. And J is to approve the acceptance of a $250,000 grant to upgrade the dust collection system at the high school woodshop. Next is to approve the bus driver list for 26-27. Item L is to approve administration to take appropriate actions and notifications to terminate our agreement with Hillendale. And item M is to ratify the appeal of the tax assessments for the 5 properties listed per our school board policy 605.1 that we approved in June. Any questions?
The only thing I'll just point out is item J is, that's a huge win for the school district. That's a grant of $250,000 that we have to replace that dust collector. So it is an awesome opportunity for us. It's the dust collector that's been there since the high school was initially built. So it's aging. It's still working well. It was just inspected last year as part of our expansion, but it's not able to keep up with the demands of the new equipment we've added through grants, which is also great. So this is an awesome opportunity to get a brand new one, and also satisfy some of those issues that we've been having with the dust collector and fire suppression and all those other things, because we're able to satisfy some of those things. So.
Is there any grants for our truck?
Well, I'm just thinking that sitting at BCTC, I feel like they get grants for equipment all the time, so can we get them on that?
That's how we got the wide belt sander, that kind of equipment. But it's those grants are connected to that's how we got this dust collector through job. I forget exactly, but essentially
job training.
training
Mhm.
opportunities for students. Those are what they're part of.
More connected to instruction.
Driving training?
Plow training, something.
Any,
I have a question on M. Do we have for those 5 properties a total of what we're gonna gain, hopefully, if the appeals were to be approved at the county level?
What they total is
Should we do roll call and circle back to it? Would that be okay?
I'd like to vote on M separate.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
I can't put my vote behind it without knowing what are we? Can we pause the vote and we could continue the agenda to give
it's
step by like trying to find the number? I'm okay with that.
it's $13,650. I mean, that's not to guarantee that that's what we would receive, but that's what this new policy is estimating those dollar amounts at.
Okay, so across these 5 properties totaled up, what we stand to gain in incremental tax revenue to the district
Yes,
is $13,650.
yes,
And short term, we're investing 400-ish in fees and then some legal expense
right.
in order to be represented in that sort of argument to the county.
Correct.
Could we vote on M separately, please?
is that okay with?
Yes.
So right now, all right, can we get a roll call for all items except for M under business and operations?
Mr. Marshall?
Yes.
Mrs. Ham?
Yes.
Mr. Rightnour?
Yes.
Mr. Sheets is absent. Mr. Stubitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Walliser?
Yes.
Mrs. Eisenhart?
Yes.
Mrs. Herzog?
Yes.
Mr. Wagman?
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 absent.
All right, could I get a roll call for letter M under business and operations?
Mr. Sheets is absent. Mr. Stubitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Walliser?
Yes.
Mrs. Eisenhart?
Yes.
Mrs. Herzog?
Yes.
Mr. Hohenschul?
Yes.
Mrs. Ham?
No.
Mr. Rightnour?
No.
Mr. Wagman?
Yes.
6 yeas, 2 nays, 1 absent.
Superintendent's report, can I get a motion and a second?
Motion right now.
Second, Stubitz.
Floor is yours, sir.
Okay, a couple items under superintendent report. First thing I'd like to do is in your packets, you will have a packets that look like this. There is a one pager. Call your attention to that one. There is a document that looks like this. That is a colored charts. Pull that one out, and then this one, which is kind of the blue. So if I can just walk through these, as you know, we've been going through a strategic planning process. If you recall, at the end of last year, Mr. Farina did a presentation. He used an AI tool to kind of show all the work that was done from the surveys to the committee group, and kind of got to here's the final goal. So the work that was done this summer then really put the rubber to the road. And a huge credit to Mandy for taking over the torch from Rob, where we left it off, all the committee work, and then she assembled what the goals look like. And then as an admin team, we all got together and really started digging this and ripping this apart and really getting into the weeds of what the details are for our strategic plan. So this first document, this one pager, at the top are our 4 goals. So now we have an academic goal, academic excellence and reward application. A second one, which is school pride through collaboration, communication, engagement. So think of our extracurriculars, athletics. That's our second one. Safe and supportive learning environments. That's our third one. And then organizational efficiencies. That's going to be your things connected to facilities, business office, contracts, those sort of things. Those are our 4 buckets. I realize the font is small, but we tried to get it on one pager. So underneath there then are the goals associated to those 4 targeted goals. So that's that document. If you want to just set that one aside for a second, this one, if you pull this one out with the colored chart, this is our 3-year Gantt chart. So what you'll see here on the column to the left is a color coordinated goals. Those goals directly align with the goals on this document. So for instance, if you read the first one on the one pager, it says ensure current district procedures. I'll do it here, it's a lot easier. Evaluate current district procedures surrounding assessments focused primarily on blah, 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 blah. Carly, do you have the other one up or not? Okay. If you look at this document, this one at the very top at that goal says that exact same thing. So that's the connection there. We then have sub goals that came out of this. So the sub goals are the areas that within that goal that we're going to focus in the next 3 years. Those are things that came from the committee work. Those are implementation pieces that the administration helped to kind of facilitate out to make sure that all of this started syncing together. And then what you have is a timeline. And so the idea behind this is spread out over 3 years. Some goals are, when you go through a strategic plan, sometimes you get to a point where you're like, let's do it all. Let's do it all year 1. And that's just not feasible. So some of these are broken out into year 2, year 3. Some are implementation. We might evaluate something year 1 and then implement year 2 or year 3. So that's why this is broken out purposely. But you can see how we're going to take all the work from that committee discussion, the goals, all the sub goals we're going to be doing, and then what we're going to be tracking over the next 3 years to accomplish those. So if you put that one aside, this one is kind of the blown up version and the meat and potatoes behind what this year's goals are going to be. So this one is the goal at the top. Again, the blue corresponds to that first academic excellence and reward application. The goal is that same goal, still evaluate current district procedures and surrounding assessments. The sub goal there now is going to be develop a committee. And then you see blue in there. Okay, what are those things we're going to do within that committee to or within that sub goal to make sure we get that to the end goal? And so some of these as you go through might only have one blue thing. Some of them might not have any at all, or like this first one, there's 3 action steps to get that sub goal accomplished, to accomplish that rolled up into that bigger goal. Does it make sense to everyone? What I want to stress is this whole process is really driven at not letting this work sit on the shelf. the work that I'm going to walk through here tonight, this one pager of this year's goals, are things that we went through. You can see on the right side, there's an owner. So it's linked to an administrator. As we go through the course of the year, similar to what we've done in the past, we'll provide a status update. We'll give more details in a mid-year and then an end-of-year goals update. The administrators after tonight will take these goals, meet with me, and do a beginning of the school year goal meeting. Mid-year, we'll do a checkpoint with each administrator. I'll sit there with each administrator. Again, we'll do the mid-year checkpoint with you as a board as well. And then the end of the year, their evaluations, as well as my evaluation, are based off of the attainment of these goals. And we'll do the end of year goal evaluation to you as well. So there, honestly, we could set a right now sitting here in August, say, yep, we're going to do this. And for some reason, something happens and we don't get to it. And that's okay. But it can't be just that we didn't do it or we didn't put in the effort to it. So the root behind this is to make sure that by the end of 3 years, we can go to this document and say, yep, we were able to accomplish these things, or we decided not to do this, or there might be things that get added to this list over the course of time because initiatives pop up or needs change, and that's okay too. But that's our roadmap for the next 3 years. So let me just take a moment and walk through what this year looks like. On the academic goals section, in that blue section, on going through this one pager or this year's goals, the one with the blue. We're going to develop committees based off of retesting as well as minimum grades. Develop a committee work to evaluate that. Once we get through that evaluation, we'll bring that information back to the school board and then develop a communication plan to roll that out. Most likely the implementation would be the following year, next year, but that work's going to happen this year. The second goal, we're going to focus in on AR, artificial intelligence, and do some committee work on that to develop what are our guidelines for our school district, do some education for our staff, for our community, what AI is, when's it permissible, when's it not permissible, how do we use it responsibly. We talked about having the district attorney's office come out because there's some legal things that are starting to connected to AI, cyberbullying in particular. And so how do we weave those things together and do some purposeful education to our community? Screen time's another topic that came out of the goal work that happened last year. And so that's one of our target areas this year. And we're going to do a study on how often are our students in the educational setting that we can control using screen time. And after do that evaluation, then taking some recommendations of what we're going to do with that information.
Is one thing to reach out to the community and parents to see like what their feelings are on screen time? Obviously, it's been a mix. A lot of parents have been. Some districts are really getting a lot of heat for how much students are on screens. And I'm just wondering if we have any.
To be honest, we haven't flushed that out yet. At this point, we're just kind of outlining how this is going to look, but we'll definitely take that into consideration.
From your standpoint, we haven't heard much from parents or the community anything questions about what screen time's going to look like for this upcoming school year, if we're changing anything.
Not to the extent as what you see in the news. We haven't had any significant pushback at all. Yeah, to date. But that's why we want to get ahead of it and develop some parameters and do the research behind how much our students are on it and what does the research say, and let's get ahead of it. Yeah. But we'll take that into consideration, that feedback from parents as well. That's a good one. Yeah. I don't want to go through all of these. You can obviously read, and you can read some of these as I'm talking, but I'll just hit some of the high ones. We also are looking to develop a business advisory council. We're calling it a BAC. I meet with our local clergy as community leaders on a quarterly basis now. And so this would be meeting with business owners within our community on a 2 to 3 time basis as well to understand. We did this last year as part of our kickoff in service where we brought companies in, businesses in, and then had them interact and work with our staff. So this will be some of that continuation of that work that we started. Curriculum wise, we have this year social studies, business, fine arts, and practical arts curriculums that are up. So that is part of our focus area for curriculum. We also have some strategic focus areas for dual enrollment this year, specifically an AP cybersecurity course, some business opportunities, some business department dual enrollment opportunities, and then the AP computer science cybersecurity course. So those are some focus areas on those advanced course areas that we're looking at this year. From a high quality instruction perspective, we're going to continue with the data meetings and the work that's been happening at the elementary school with that framework, and really expanding that out into the middle school and high school. That work started last year with the secondary academic improvement plan. That work will continue under Dr. Snyder's leadership with the data meetings and setting up some purposeful instructional practices and analysis of the data that we have. And then at the high school, continuation with the work that Mr. Ginch has done, and Mr. Janicelli and Mr. Stroecker will continue that work, looking at the data review, focusing on the time we're using with AIMS, and ensuring that's all done with fidelity. So that's a major focus for us for academics this year. Switching gears, then we move on to the green tab, and that is the school pride through collaboration, communication, and engagement. Again, think of this as your extracurriculars, your athletics. And a major focus area for that department overall is communication. And you'll see a lot of these goals, the green goals, are connected to communication in different ways, but they're really driven heavily on how do we better connect with our community? How do we have our coaches better connect with our parents and students? How do we better connect with our students about their experience? And that's really what this is all driven at. There is a new countywide scheduling system that was, for lack of a better word, almost forced on the school districts through BCIAA. It's arbiter schedules. Admittedly, we're having issues with it. And so if you go on the school district website right now, there's teams on there that aren't necessarily how we classify teams, like middle school girls volleyball is 7-8-9. Well, we don't have them to 7-8-9, but we're not allowed to change the title of it. It's what this county has rolled out. So while it's a goal to better communicate, we're being a little bit challenged right now. There is a new Sports U app, which is how we're going to start pushing our teams to communicate with families. So there's a consistent way, right? But previously there was a whole bunch of different platforms, and we're trying to streamline that process. Also looking at senior recognition days and having some consistency done there on that end. Looking at some of our calendar events, things that are happening at the building level, things that are happening with athletics, things that are happening with extracurriculars, the arts, to make sure that there's not overlap, and to make sure that students and families have the opportunity to participate in all the things. And we've had a couple issues in the past where they happen at the same time. So we're trying to avoid that. Setting some expectations for coaches and how they communicate with families, also doing some coach education programs, standardizing that coach development program through the athletic department is a big focus for this year. Also expanding the input from our student athletic advisory committee is going to be a big push this year through surveys, understanding what traditions are, understanding what their experience is in school events, and trying to capitalize or enhance those areas. Another focus area is to better connect with our youth programs. So our youth soccer, our youth baseball, those programs, so we can help purposely make a bridge between our middle school and high school programs with our youth programs. That is a targeted area of growth this year. And then finally in that area, it's also to partner from the extracurriculars with music and the art staff to create intentional cross-building connections. So for like the music program, for instance, how do we connect with the third grade program to the fourth grade program in intermediate school so we can get the kids better connected? How do we take our middle school students in the band program and have them continue on in the high school program? Because we're noticing that's where a big drop off is from 8th to 9th grade. So to continue that growth within our students, continue that growth in the program, that's a purposeful goal this year. The next section, which is, I'll call it the pink color, that's really our safe and supportive learning environments area. We're looking at our emergency operations plan, our EOP, connecting that with our local police, fire, EMS. So Mr. Stroecker is going to be a big lead on these things. So he'll be reaching out to those emergency management organizations and reviewing our EOP with them. Looking at our reunification procedures for all three buildings, ensuring that as we do reunification, we have a clear process. It's one of those things that you don't put a lot of thought into it, but if an emergency happens and you have all those families, all those chaos happening, how do you manage that chaos? And we've done some work in that in the past, but reevaluating that, it's been a couple of years since we've done that. So purposely spending some time on that this year. Again, a bunch of goals in here under safety. We're also looking to do a countywide training again. We did the True North. We talked about that at the beginning of this meeting with our sponsors. We're looking to do the True North training again this year. That would be open to all countywide school resource officers. We're looking to do that again next June, and hopefully have a contract in front of the board to approve that coming up soon. We're looking to do some inventory of our go bags. So each classroom has a red bag that has all the emergency things they need to do. Purposely, our start of our school year this year is we're going to have our teachers and staff go through those, inventory them, or anything's outdated, replace it with things that aren't outdated, and just make sure we have everything in those bags in the event of an emergency. We have some new mandates that have come out from the state with the budget passing, and those specifically deal with bullying and cyberbullying. You'll hear a little bit more about that tonight when we get to the handbooks, but there's some specific requirements now of defining what cyberbullying is and our responsibilities as a school district. And so that is part of this process, developing those procedures and reporting and all those other components. And then there's also some pieces in here about mental health and how do we ensure that we are providing those necessary supports through the MTSS process, through the tiered mental health process. This year, we're lucky enough to have a intern social worker who happens to be sitting here tonight in the audience, who happens to be Mrs. Culp's daughter, who is doing her internship through KU and is working with Mary Kate as her advisor this year. And she's done a phenomenal job already assimilating in the school district, but that helps us reach more students and help us grow our programming. So that's one of our big focus areas this year, is to support that that MTSS, that social worker component within our programs. And then the final one is the organizational efficiencies. That's this peachy color, orange color one. Some of these don't have as many blue action items, but they're still goals this year. So directional signage is a really big goal this year. We're going to focus heavily, first priority at the high school. And then the second one will be the elementary, focusing in on the pre-K drop-off, focusing in on the one-way street, the gymnasium parking, those sort of things, receiving. And then the final one will be this building and updating all those directional signs here at this building. Some other projects, restore paint the canopy over the middle school, intermediate school entrance, repair the storm drains that are here that are collapsing, sinking, looking to do some work with this school concrete repair, looking at our security gates in this building, doing some work with our security gates and upgrading those, doing some more repair brick wall work that we just approved under the business section. New playground, which we just, the intermediate middle school playground safety enhancements we discussed earlier with some of that grant funding. We have some grant funding with the potential of HVAC replacements in this building. Right now, we're sitting and waiting for a potential of a $2 million grant to upgrade HVAC units within this building. Also, the dust collector system, that grant funding was secured, as we talked about. So implementing that is going to be a big goal for this year. Doing some work within the high school. A long-term project has been repurposing the sinks in the bathrooms at the high school. Those desperately need replacement. So that's on the priority list. District-wide water fountains we discussed earlier. Those are in the works of getting replaced. Putting a sink kitchenette within the business office. Right now, they don't have any water source at all. And so this will be tapping into a bathroom on the other side of the wall and creating a sink there fairly easily since there's a water source. In the process of beginning to evaluate the land that we had purchased a couple years ago, we've had a long-term vision of putting a pool building up there. And so beginning that process with civil engineers, and we don't anticipate any kind of construction this year, especially with the way costs are and those sort of things, but at least beginning that process. So when that time comes, we can move forward with that. We approved tonight the playground for the pre-K, and so that's one of the big goals that are on here. And then we switch over to more business office things. So we're evaluating purchasing and payment solutions. How do we find a solution that gives us the best interest, the best yield for how we're doing purchases, and how do we get some money back to the district just by making our normal purchases. And so we'll be evaluating that this year. We also have some pieces with the food service Did I miss something here? I did. Sorry. We have a district assessment appeal process. We started that process. Of course, we just went through that approval process on 5 properties as after we went through that appeal process. So those have been submitted to the county assessment office. So that is in its work. We have a new process for cyber charter enrollment that came out of the state school code updates with the budget being passed. So we're going to be reevaluating and redeveloping our enrollment process this year. We have a district transportation evaluation that's going to happen, starting with the satisfaction survey, as well as then evaluating what the strengths and opportunities for growth are, and implementing some strategic steps with our transportation provider. Similarly, with our food service program, doing through that same thing, going through a satisfaction survey, identifying the strengths, areas of growth, and then creating some steps to improve. Part of that process is also to do some purposeful communication about our food service program. Because of the meal restrictions and guidelines that come out from the federal government, there are only some things we can do. And so we want to make sure we preemptively provide that information to our community, to our students, before we go out and do the survey, because unfortunately there are some limitations of what we are able to do with the meal program. Love to let our food service staff go and do their good old Pennsylvania Dutch cooking, and we'd have good meals, but there's limitations. And then switching gears, we do have some pieces connected to technology, which is our final section. The first one is to evaluate a tool that we use for all our evaluations, our professional development requests, our course requests, our absence requests. We have a unified system right now. That system has got very expensive. And so we're evaluating some other systems to find a way to still do those same services, but at a better cost. We also have, on the technology end, of course, we have all the new devices being implemented this year, but the big goal this year is to do all the back end hardware nuts and bolts of technology. So it's evaluating network switches, network servers, wireless access points, all those pieces that keep the system, the internet system running. That's one of the big goals this year. We have a goal to evaluate our district telephone system and do some upgrades. We have also a goal to evaluate parking lot cameras and adding parking lot cameras if we're able to afford that. And then transitioning our fax lines. Unfortunately, we had to adjust our fax line. It seems like an antiquated tool of communication, but we still get faxes. And so we have to have a way to be able to communicate with those. That's how they communicate with us. We also are looking to upgrade our PA system. Upgrade our district file management through the Google environment. So creating shared drives and creating a purposeful process for how we store files in a shared drive. As you can imagine, that is a huge undertaking, because how you look at your files in your system look completely different probably for 9 of you. And there's no consistency. So trying to create some consistency on how we have file organization in our shared drives. And then we have 2 last ones with technology. We did a new technology insurance program this year. So it's evaluating the participation, the claims, the repair trends, and then the cost to be able to provide that report back to the board. And then the final one is we put a new web filter in place called iBoss. We're working through some kinks with that right now, but we're hope that is ready to go and has been implemented for the start of the school year. That is the goals for this year. A lot of stuff. That's just year 1. But again, this rolls up into this, which is this year 1 portion, which rolls up into this, which is just the goals that are these big bucket blue areas that correspond here. And then you have your high arching 4 buckets. Does that make sense to everyone? I know that takes a little bit of time to go through that on the annual basis, but I think it's important. It highlights the work that we're looking to do. It is purposeful. It's meaningful. It connects to, like I said, the evaluations, and it's something that has served us well in terms of a process. We're able to accomplish a lot of things, make it a purposeful budgetary process as well, but also ensure that this doesn't just sit on the shelf. There's been a ton of time invested in creating a strategic plan, and this helps us get those things accomplished. So, thank you.
Awesome job.
On to agenda items. So we have. Sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yep. Sorry. I should ask that.
Along the route for putting this together. It is a tremendous amount of work to document all this stuff. It's also a tremendous amount of work to get done. So I wish you 30 hours a week. Hopefully you don't have to work 6 days or 30 hours a day, and hopefully you don't have to work 6 days a week to get it all done. Two just very granular thoughts.
Yeah,
real
please.
quick. One, you mentioned the whole e-fax thing seems really antiquated, even coming from someone in my generation. So, and I noticed we approved or gonna approve something tonight related to that and an expenditure. Who are the players that we are supporting, that we feel so tied to that they're unwilling to change to use email?
People that don't understand the value of a fax machine because it's one of the most underrated devices in history.
Yeah,
That was
we
my
would use
experience.
that. I wanna know.
Mike.
Yeah,
Mike.
like it
Basically,
feels like,
all my credit stuff I sent to fax.
So,
yeah.
Well, we don't.
Yeah, at some point, like, we should either start charging to receive faxes from people who are unwilling to send us email or
Do we
something.
really need either?
so the couple things. Yeah. Bless you.
So secure email can't replace that?
It's so interesting. Doctors' offices will not send stuff via email.
All of our stuff from our employees for doctors and all that stuff goes via fax. Whatever the reason.
Our parents would just have to bring that in.
And they would also have to find, so maybe that solution is ensures HIPAA compliance, so that when we are sending things, it maintains that privacy piece.
So that's a fax right now.
Just since you don't use it.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use it too much. I think.
They would have to also have an e-fax solution for it, and that would involve larger healthcare systems changing that as well, where I think they're still in the process. Will that change? Because I think a lot of folks are getting rid of those intellectual rights, probably, but we'll have to make more of an e-fax.
Okay. But currently, when doctor's offices, just to use your example, fax us something, it spits out on a fax machine here and it lays there until the correct person happens to walk by and swipe it off the machine.
So.
I'm not arguing. We are not arguing with your logic at all.
So from
Believe
a
us.
security perspective, I see that as a fail. From a HIPAA perspective, I see that as huge risk because now some child's medical prescription is sitting there for some other student to walk by or some
So all
parent
of our
or
fax
some other
machines
administrator.
that have fax capability on them are in our main offices, from buildings, nurses' offices, the people services offices, they're all in offices which all have confidential assistants in them. So when they hear the fax machine go off, they're typically grabbing it. And then across the hallway here, if it's something for the nurses, they'll walk it right over to the nurse's office so that it gets there quickly. So they're not out at the copiers in the hallways or anything like that. The fax machines, those lines are in our main offices. But yes, sometimes there, somebody doesn't grab it right away. But
Is there a way, because I know where I previously worked, we had to fax certain items, and it went to the HR department, that was it. And then whoever else, from there, would, send all the needed. I mean, to Mrs. Hume's comment, is there a way to just have a centralized fax with admin or whatever to alleviate any concerns that medical records or whatever are sitting in, even in an office where, you know, the admin, you know, have, you know, whatever, authority to look at certain facts, if we have it, so
that was COVID. I actually thought that way to help enrollment go up, and it seemed like it went the opposite. So,
Yeah, a lot of people died during COVID.
they respected social distancing apparently. So that is enrollment right now. We do have 5 kindergartens. I did maintain that just because it's the end of the year. And we send classroom rosters out. It's something we're gonna have to monitor, of course, as we go through the year. And I will come back with some recommendations to the board when we get there. But that's where we are right now. I wanted to point that out to you. So that's that. Under superintendent report, we have 3 items. We have the approval of the goals, which I just went through. We have the approval of the 26-27 student handbooks. We always like to bring the handbooks to the school board, so you have all 4 buildings separating the intermediate and middle school. And then you also had the virtual academy handbook as well as the athletic handbook. And then I'm going to just move on to that and come back to this. You'll also have an item C, which is to approve an MOU between Kutztown Area School District and Brandywine. This allows our students in the music program to be able to go over with the Kutztown music students and be able to play at their home football games and be part of that environment, which is kind of fun.
I'm also curious when it comes to the arts, like, because we don't really have plays here, but I know they do them over there. Like, have our students traditionally gone over there and like been part of their school plays, or
They haven't to this point, no. And honestly, it was never an ask. Yeah. Definitely would support it if we got there. Yeah.
yeah.
To that point, and we can talk about this if I'm jumping ahead, but I did notice on the intramural list, I think it's called, or co-curricular list, dramatics has a faculty head and there was a secondary one related to it. But if we don't have that program, I guess I was a little confused by that. So could you just cover that when we get there?
Yep. And I'm just looking at the. I know they're trying.
We do have,
Yeah,
we have production.
We had it last year. I know we're trying to
Are you the principal?
Thank you, Mr. Jennings. Thank you for saving
Sorry, who are you?
me.
So
I saw your name a lot on this
we
document.
do have our feeder program essentially now runs one class. We're trying to control and expand. So there's some different courses that go into the theater class itself, but then we always look at it as an organization that to join that we can then so there's been some years where we get performances off the ground, not kind of like when I started, we had a much larger program then. But if there's a staff member that's interested, the expectation is kind of that we're going to put something out, whether it's just, there was one a couple of years ago, I believe, just performances that they were for the community. And then it was still a production, and there was a lot of extracurricular time that went into it, but that staff member was kind of tasked with overseeing that piece. And so if we have an interest that's there, we get it off the ground, and that staff member will be having place that wants to do it. And so with our most recent kind of theater overseer retiring with that school, there was an opportunity to kind of shepherd that into new hands and see what we can do. And so that was, it's always hard to project kind of how the year is going to go, but when we have to get those co-curriculars in for this upcoming school year, we talk with our staff ahead of time and kind of speak through the pieces.
Personally, I love it. I'd love to see the Brandywine Theater program become something bigger. It's just if there's no student interest, and because everybody's playing sports or doing music or working, whatever, for whatever reason, then we don't need to stop it. So we're making a leap of faith that we're investing in the staff piece. It sounds like some marketing needs to happen with the student body but fabulous opportunities, co-ed, art,
And there's some
project
good opportunities that are
management,
there. We have a new-
presentation skill. It's got so many good things around it,
We
but
have a new staff member that's to the high school this year that's kind of going to be overseeing that as well as a different staff member who's even interested in performers. So there's a good nexus, I think, of opportunity, and one that we're closely monitoring, but you kind of want to see what we can do in terms of getting that interest. Because we even have a couple of students who are not day-to-day residents of school, functional students that will come and participate as well with the theater.
very community wide. When I was in school, we had like little kids and community members like that were in our place.
I just have a question, because some of the feedback I've gotten from some of the high school kids that have been asking a little bit, now that my girls are going in there. The feedback is, like what you were saying, Sarah, in sports, the after school time is maxed out. Has there ever been an opportunity to have, you said there's a course, but like, I don't know if you can give them credit for it, but actually like have their schedules kind of aligned, so maybe every 8th period, our theater students would be able to, during the school day, have time to work on the production or whatever it is that they're doing.
And that's actually when it all started. We did
Oh,
every
we did.
day.
You're doing that.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's when it
Okay,
convened at
cool.
the same
'Cause
time.
I think that's the problem.
I think the hard part is there was a lot of courses that started to grow from it. We had what ended up being groups 3. There was kind of theater, advanced theater, and then set design. And those courses didn't start to eat each other, but they started to get increasingly small. So they're taking, instead of running classes that would be 8, 9, 10 students now, we can take 15, 17 and make one sort of theater program. And if your interest is design, we can kind of key into that. And if it's multi-performance, we can do that. And then 12 months we go from there.
And
Being
is it all
small,
year round,
it
or
is.
okay. Oh, good, okay. Just trying to
So it's
brainstorm, sorry.
going to be with the Betty Awards.
it's way out.
Yeah.
So,
And I'm just amazed when I see that, in the smaller schools versus the larger public, as public and private, but this seems to me that would take a lot of.
And the pricing, why I was shocked at the copyright is why.
oh my God, and even just music.
Right,
We see
yeah.
the arts every year, just the licensing for schools is also a lot. So it's a big piece that goes into it. But something that, being smaller, you want to offer the opportunity and see where it goes.
That's
And then we kind of monitor.
not even that good as that.
Pulling the kids in different directions, and we just want to make sure that we set out.
Okay, so let me circle back now to item B, which is the student handbooks. In your packet, you have a one-pager like this. I apologize, this wasn't included earlier, but it was something we put together to include in the packet this evening. This one-pager summarizes the updates to the handbook. So there's a lot of information in the handbooks. Obviously, I don't know if you'll be able to read all those or digest all that information. So what we did is we tried to create the principals and administrators put together what those updates are within the handbooks. So it's a nice one-page cheat sheet. Just want to point out a couple things. One, there also is a bullet point here. I talked about this when we went through the goals component, but there is now a new cyberbullying policy and procedure that has to happen that came out of the law. So that's now a uniform process in all of the handbooks. We had to define what cyberbullying is. We had to talk about what the processes were to do an investigation. And then we also had to talk about the processes to notify families. All that was part of the statutory requirement. That is all now included in our procedures for our handbooks. We wanted to get that in the handbooks now because you're going to be approving the handbook. So that is a consistent process. We do not have a school board policy yet. So that school board, we have policy on bullying, but not this updated one. So as we go through this policy, that'll be one of the first ones you see in September, which will have language that mirrors what the procedures are we just had for the handbooks we're putting in place here. So they will all sync together, but just wanted to point that out to the board that is a unifying piece. Also, we updated in all, you'll see similar language in all of the buildings, updated language on cheating and AI. So there was language in there about what cheating is, obviously in a whole new world of AI. What does that look like? And so we put language in there that now reflects that and allows for AI if it's the families have, or if a teacher has granted permission, or it's the student still has to understand the information. It's not just sticking it in AI, making it do its homework and not knowing the information. So there's some purposeful safeguards with that definition now. We spent some time working on that this summer. Again, that's consistent in all four buildings. And then the other piece I wanted to point out, a little bit in the intermediate middle school, more significant change, in the high school, a little bit of a change, and that's our cell phone policies. So in the intermediate middle school, this year, we anticipated actually this becoming law, which did not become law as part of the school code. But in the intermediate middle school this year, cell phones will not be permitted during the school day. they have to stay in the lockers. They can't be out at lunchtime or in hallways that they're not during the school day. The high school, a little bit more, I don't want to say relaxed, but trying to teach the students responsibility. And so in the high schools, cell phones last year were, and this year are not allowed during the instructional space. Last year it was, they weren't allowed in the classroom unless the teacher said they were allowed. This year they're not allowed in the classroom at all to create any ambiguity or any, well, I'm allowed to have it in this classroom, I'm not allowed to have it in this classroom. So they're not allowed in the classroom. They can be used in the hallway. They can be used at lunchtime, those sort of things. And so that's the high school use of technology, and particularly cell phones. It's obviously most students have them at this point, so it's one we have to address. I do anticipate some action at the state level to come from that eventually, but it didn't happen this year. So we're trying to put some milestones in place to get there.
Did they just table that, or
They did, yeah. I actually really thought that was going to go through this year. I was surprised it didn't. That it's the same, yeah, it's the same, and it was addressed in the they just can't be, they can wear them, they just can't be used. Yeah.
Is there staff opinion about this new policy? Like, do our faculty support these new guidelines? Was there any discussion? Particularly at the high school, does it impact anybody's instructional plan from time to time?
Not, it should not now, because all the students have devices. If there would be, and there is a caveat in there, if there would be a need for it instructionally, they can get permission to use it if that would be necessary for the principal.
Pull that calculator card.
Right.
Can I ask a funny question about sleeves? It says in the high school handbook that it says language about wearing sleeves. So I looked it up and it says that the shirts have to have sleeves, but it's not in our middle school one. And like, I'm not wearing sleeves. Would I not be allowed to wear? It's
I
a
did want to talk to you about that. Now that you brought it up,
I understand like a spaghetti strap tank top and stuff, but even like her sleeveless shirt, like if our teachers are allowed to wear something like that, you know, it's like a shoulder. Like I understand what we're trying to do is modest, but I feel like if I wear a sleeveless dress that's still modest, and someone could interpret it and say, well, you don't have sleeves on.
Mr. Schrocker, do you know what that conversation was and definition of that? I don't know how to write in front of me. Does it just say?
It says shirts. It says shirts must have sleeves.
I think what, and Mr. Jackson can speak better to this when he is back here, but I think that his interpretation of the one where he came from his previous picture, he was seeing some of the gentlemen coming in with full cutoffs all the way down the sides. So yeah, the idea of honesty in that, obviously with male and female coming in, obviously it's up for interpretation. It's not causing a major educational disruption. But we can still be seen with really within the boys coming in.
It's funny that you say it was the boys. I didn't even, I mean, I see that, but
When we spoke briefly about this, that was what he was referencing. Seeing some of the gentlemen coming in with full cutoffs. And again, obviously it's there's a little bit of room for interpretation, but it was really the agreed sleeves that were cut off and kind of showing being a little bit more revealing than
yeah, I just want to make sure. I mean, I been through this with a girl and fought a little bit on interpretation of wording. So
and I think our biggest thing, and we've got guidance on this too, unless it is causing a major educational disruption, we can continue.
yeah, but I also don't want like if a girl is wearing no shoulders, that to be considered an educational disruption because it shouldn't. So yeah, depending on what it looks
And
like.
I can agree with you, and I
Yeah.
think that is,
Yeah.
like I said, we can approach each situation.
I don't really have a lot of trouble with you, but it's happened with former administrators in our district So I don't want to
I would like
walk
to
down the path of ambiguous, make
No,
a
no.
decision on what we think it
Can we-
is. Yeah.
Could we do this? Could we approve it tonight so that they're
Yeah.
approved
I'm
and
not
ready?
gonna, I just want to
Um,
make sure.
And then if it's okay, I want to go back to this and make sure, one, there's consistency between middle school and high school.
Yeah. It
And
doesn't
two,
say it in
we
middle
better
school.
clarify what that means. And we're all saying the same thing, like,
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
we want. We don't want the
Yeah.
spaghetti strap or like Mr.
Yeah.
So let us better define that.
Yeah.
And have consistency in both buildings,
Yeah.
and we'll update that before we roll it out. Is that okay?
Yeah, yeah.
But
I think
if we can
that,
approve
I
that
think
tonight,
there's
I'd
like
like
a
to get it.
rule. If I remember correctly, it was like they have to be like 3-inch wide straps or something. Like I remember reading it somewhere else, like
Yeah.
in different. And I just,
It's a good point. I'm glad you brought it up. Yeah.
especially in high school. I mean, if you look at half the girls right now, their summer wardrobe are spaghetti straps and tank top form, and
Yep. Or no straps at all.
yeah. So it's not that I'm saying that, but some of the girls just wear like dress with no sleeves or a shirt with that are short. So
I like using the word modest, and we'll have to define that a little bit so it's not ambiguous. But
yeah, it does say they must reflect modesty, but must have sleeves.
And is that a long sleeve?
Yeah,
That could be defined as long sleeve, right? It doesn't say.
yeah.
So
Just a
Let
little.
us clarify that.
And that dress code would apply to all faculty and staff as well.
This is
Correct.
this is for the handbook right now. Currently is for the student one. Yeah.
So that,
We do have a dress code policy for our staff.
okay.
um,
And is there reasonable consistency?
I'm going to say yes. I would need to go back to the policy and double check that.
Okay, so
Yeah.
something like this
Mhm.
issue, if we allow a staff member to, it's okay for a staff member, but not a student, I can imagine that would be tricky to navigate, or vice versa.
Agree. I'm just making a cross reference our policy.
All our men teachers start wearing cutoff t-shirts.
Well, it is, right?
Yeah.
Because with-
As long as you have a tie on, I think it's probably okay. Yeah, and a clip. I nailed it.
Some people would say no, but some wouldn't. It's your school job.
Yeah. Yeah, they wear those t-shirts.
All right. Any other questions or
Oh,
comments?
wait, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I almost forgot.
already.
Mrs. Honich, can I have you come up? So one of the big changes that happened this year, particularly with the virtual academy, is with. So there was a lot of changes that happened with the budget passing. A lot of school code changes that happened. And one of the major ones was wellness checks that we had to do for all virtual students. That's for cyber charters, but it's also for any school district virtual program. So Carolyn has worked on putting together, and that's what these two documents are in your packet, a flow chart of what has to happen. And in the law, it's interesting, it explicitly calls out what the timelines are. Day 1, day 3, etc. So we wanted to put a roadmap together of what that looks like and how we're going to react to that. So Carolyn, I'll turn it over to you.
So in your handout, it
Yes.
Mr. Right now,
Yes.
Mr. Sheets, Mr. Stevens,
Yes.
Mrs. Walizer,
Yeah.
Mrs. Eisenhower,
Yes.
Mrs. Hartog.
really, is there student participation?
Right,
Are the numbers there to warrant the supervision? Yeah.
But I mean, still, that's two distinct qualities that individual has. You know, knowing music and how, and what to play, and if you're playing a correctly in front, you know how to put a routine together for the class, or, you know, 'cause I haven't seen, maybe I'll have to get to this happen Halloween parade, but in my prior years, when Brandywine's band came through, it was quite impressive. I mean, I came from a bunch very large in high school where, you know, we took up the whole Liberty High School Grenadiers, and that was a whole other story, but I still remember how impressive the Brandywine marching band was, just coming from what I did in my earlier years. So that's where my thought was, well, does this individual have knowledge in both areas? That's all.
Have notes here.
Any
We'll circle back.
additional questions or comments? Hearing none, could I get a roll call on everything except 3C, please?
Mr. Reitner.
Yes.
Mr. Sheets is absent. Mr. Stubitz.
Yes.
Mrs. Walliser. Mrs. Eisenhart.
Yes.
Mrs. Herzog.
Yes,
Mr. Harnshaw.
Yes.
Mrs. Hune.
Yes.
Mr. Wagman.
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 absent. Motion carries.
All right. 3C. Could I
Miss-
get,
C3C.
sorry.
You're good.
C3C.
Mr. Stubitz.
Yes.
Mrs. Walliser.
Yes.
Mrs. Eisenhart.
Yes.
Mrs. Herzog.
yes,
Mr. Harnshaw.
Yes.
Mrs. Hune.
Yes.
Mr. Reitner.
Abstain.
Mr. Sheets is absent. Mr. Wagman.
Yes.
7 yeas, 1 absent, 1 abstain. Motion carries.
Okay. Any additional questions, comments, public comment?
One quick comment, I just wanna, thank probably Tracy, mostly you, Mrs. Detmeyer, I'm sorry, but the rest of the administrative team, the level of detail in tonight's agenda was very helpful. So I know I've been advocating for that, and so I appreciate the extra work that was put in to document more